Unfortunately, I've seen more domestic violence than, frankly, I would ever want to be a part of or ever see. As a lawyer representing clients many years ago, a client of mine was killed in domestic violence. It impacted me in a very, very big way. And what I learned from the experience is that oftentimes we think of abusers as being the person that's this loud, threatening, this brute of a person, someone who just exhibits rage and shows all those characteristics that we in our heads think that an abuser looks like. In the case that involved one of my clients, the abuser was a husband that showed none of those signs and was fairly quiet, was relatively easy to talk with and to work with. We had a restraining order in place. I remember telling my client, as I've told clients for years, that a restraining order is nothing more than a piece of paper. It won't stop a bullet. You know, I've said that for years. I've said that to every client I've ever helped with obtaining a restraining order. But that case made that instruction it made it a different thing. As a judge, I have always been very serious when it comes to domestic violence, because I think we have to be. At the end of the day, if you have to err, you have to err on the side of safety. You have to err on the side of protecting a child. And if I make a mistake with that intention of protecting a life and a child or whatever, whoever the person may be, I can live with that. It's hard for me to live with the thought that I did not put in adequate protection and someone was killed. A protection from abuse order or a restraining order, and that's basically what it is an incredibly good tool to have in place, a good order to have in place, and there's many reasons. One reason is it clearly spells out what is allowed and what is not, and it's a judge's order, so it has the power of that court and of that order. That means it can be enforced through law enforcement. So if, for instance, if police come up on a scene of domestic violence and they become aware that there's a restraining order, a protection from abuse order in place, well then the law now basically would say if that abuser is there and has violated the terms of that order, they're to be arrested right there on the spot. And so there's a mechanism now through that order that law enforcement can engage and protect quickly and get the abuser away from the victim as quickly as possible. The law was also modified to where the abuser, once they're placed in the jail, it gives the victim about up to 24 hours before the magistrate would have to go and make a bond available. The purpose of that time is to give a victim and their children, if necessary, an opportunity to find safety and to get out. And so the law before this change took place was 12 hours. We increased it to 24 hours because we want to protect and give people an opportunity to find safety. Also, the order, it actually communicates to the victim themselves. It tells them the do's and don'ts as well, and it helps guide a victim. And that's, as a lawyer, oftentimes when we get protection from abuse orders in place, I go over it with my clients to make sure they understand what the order says, and that they know there's some things, do not do this. We don't want to be anywhere near the abuser. And so we try to make sure we educate the victim in those situations. So the order, even though it's a piece of paper, and when I say it's an order, it's a piece of paper, it won't stop a bullet, that's the truth. You still have to be safe. You still have to use good judgment. But that order is a powerful tool that can be used to help you in your situation. So if you have a choice of not having an order or having it, there's no question. By all means, if you're in a domestic violence situation and you're a victim, get help. Let's seek that protection that can be given to you through the courts and the in the form of a domestic violence or a protection from abuse order.